Skyrim man, 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 or woman, haven't decided yet. Welcome back to Low Energy Videos, where we return to our traditional spawning pools, where the mods have been loaded and mostly seem to work, where the new character will be most likely a Nord or an Imperial. Definitely not a Breton, because what am I, a fucking centrist? I don't think so. I played that game. I wore the Gap hoodie, and it was beige. But we will be playing a character that will have no rhyme or reason beyond one thing: making fat stacks for the Dragonborn gallery. We're doing a Dragonborn run, and I don't mean defeating Alduin, stopping Miraak, fulfilling the prophecy of Tamriel. I won't even fight the Civil War. We are going to basically be a relic hunter doing relic hunter things. Everything else will be transitory, secondary even. To that end, let's just do the standard stuff as always. Please like, share, and subscribe. And do not forget to check out the links down below for things such as Discord and Twitch, Blue Sky, and a bit of an update. You see these here? Behind the weights is a black box. That black box is not my Lego supply. My Lego has not come because I did not order Legos. I ordered LEDs to go on the Legos. I made a boo-boo. I'll try to sort it out next week, but if you want to help a brother out, stream goal would be appreciated. Any money I'll get would be definitely going towards getting the Lego set early. But neither here nor there, for I must start the damn. Boop. There we go. Okay, so hook up the batteries. Well, hook in the batteries. Hope you're all having a fantastic time. Sorry about these backwards. Sorry about UFF being shorter than normal. That game is not kind, and I was very tired. By the way, how do I sound? How does the game sound? Now, I won't be using console commands, so our boy gotta handle his weight in weight. A Nord seems too obvious. Alright. Maybe a Nord, I don't know. Orc? Ooh, sexy, sexy orc. I know your audio is working, but it's very loud in the harvest room, so I can't tell what you're saying. Damn. Alright, well then we'll need someone else. Here, I got my phone here. Let's listen in. Let's listen in. Tra la 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 la. Let's listen in. Tra la 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 la. Well, you can hear me, so there's that. Average low energy supporter right here. Honestly, a Bosmer. Ooh, our lizard soft friends. What are you even doing up in Skyrim? You should all freeze to death. Hell. Come on. There we go. Hell no. There is 1,000 reasons why I am not going to get this ethno-statey motherfucker. Dumner. Sexy, sexy Dumner. More African American coded than fucking the Red Guards, which is kind of weird. Imperial, aka the default we are good because we are good. Fuck you. I will die on that Imperial hill. Much like the Empire itself. Because like the NCR, it ain't long for this world. Dumner are superior race. Ooh. Maybe, you know what? If we get enough people saying it in the chat, I will download the Dagothur mod. Let's have them wandering around with me. Wait, kitty cats. Why not kitty cats? Oh, furries. Yeah, fuck you. That's why. Nord. Smashy smashy would be good. Orc. Now here's the thing about being an orc. Smashy smashy would be definitely good. Then I wouldn't feel comfortable. You know what? When in doubt, how about we make a Imperial fanboy of the Nords? No, because then he'd want to side with Ulfric Stormcloak. Yes. No. Generic. Evil. Looks like an accountant. Kinda cool. Oh, those mutton chops. Ooh. Well, there's no way I'm being straight if I'm playing as this character. Compared to games like modern games, this is so basic bitch shit. Wait a minute. Can we do a Wario? Skyrim belongs to the Nords. If Skyrim belonged to the Nords, then why elf jackboot shaped? Skyrim belongs to the fucking snow elves, thank you very much. As long as there's still one of them kind of breathing, that's all that matters. Ooh, maybe I'll have like a sneering imperialist character. Yes, I mean, we are going to be stealing all these relics. Oh, yes! Yes, we should have like a pith hat wearing motherfucker with like a monocle. Yes, we will of course steal from all these primitive civilizations. They do not know the value of good imperial ways. Yes. Yes. It's coming together. But he needs a hairstyle to match. Yeah. What a bald. Given that sort of manic 1800s preacher haircut. I don't have any braids. That's something that, oh, there we go, that actually works. It's facial hair. Yeah, if we can get a bigger mutton chop, we'll do a bigger mutton chop. But that's our default if we can't find anything better. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Greedy jolts, Jarls with white gold, yeah. What can I say? You haven't paid your tithes to the White Gold Tower. Are you not good Imperial citizens? Yes. If these ancient Nords did not want us taking these resources from their tombs, they should have defended it better. Yes. Ooh. They can't be too huge, because that would promote a sense of, like, barbarity. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh! Perfect! Yes! Just enough that he can twirl it. I'm Hoodoo Brown! What do you mean I'm the hero of these stories? Of course I'm the hero. I'm the only one who could get into the gentleman's club due to my race alone. Oh, there's going to be a lot of dog whistling on this one. You know, a lot of people say that we treat the Khajiits and Argonians with no respect, but, I mean, look how we treat the orcs. Chip-chap, fellow. Keep working. I said keep working. That's a good lad. Yes! I think this is fine. I think this is fine as is. What should we call them? Bloody Romans! What have you done for us? Oh, well, in that case, it has to be Bigus Dickus. He has a wife, you know. After some misunderstandings back in the Imperial Province, I decided to take a tour of the colonies. Yes, quite. By the way, if some crazy woman holding a paternity lawsuit shows up, you just don't tell them you saw me, yes?
Approach, my child, and choose where your new life shall begin.
Oh,
Which city did you sail to?
Solitude, the only place of true culture.
A life filled with opportunity awaits you, traveler.
Oh yeah. Ah. Here I am, ready to start my new adventure, to defile the lands of our once noble allies. Now, should he have any of these? Maybe he should side with Talos and be like a true hypocrite and still side with the Empire. It's not a matter of whether or not Talos is a god or not. No, that doesn't... Zenithal? None of these pan out great for the gods that he would worship for that attitude. So maybe Akatosh. Alright, let's keep it simple. Yes, I would be taken to temple as a child. Mother and father wanted me to have something called morals. I'm not quite sure what they are to this day. But I suppose I can go through the motions. Oh, mighty Akatosh, thank you for this trip and blah, 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 blah. You know, you're literally the god of time. You know exactly what I'm going to say before I say it. We don't have any free will. Greetings, my friend. I hope this letter finds you and finds you well. It has been some time since we worked together on a proposition for you. assuming you can be persuaded to pull yourself from your work at the Gwynland University. I recall in your last letter you expressed wishing to get back out into the field again. Leggett's proposition will have you most intrigued. I have been fortunate enough to have been able to establish a museum located here in Skrim, in the City of Solitude, of which are prophetic legends of the Dragonborn, dub it the Dragonborn Gallery. I have not had much luck in procuring adequate relics for the museum. It brought me a few oddly items from my own collection. Vast array here in Skyrim. There seems to be a gathering of sorts, notable found way here, but I can tell more about that later. Want to assist, becoming my museum relic hunter? Oh yes, stealing from barbarians all the time. Absolutely. Grander than the Mournhole Museum ever was. Well, those filthy elves. Elves! Have you been drinking gin the entire trip? Elves! Offers you free room and board as well. The museum is very well equipped, safe house, boats gathering, 500 gold for incentive, Solitude, Blue Palace, southeast at the end. I'll tell you the amount of times I've read that. Well, this is quaint. Oh, a windmill. I wonder if they grind anything there. Let's see what random items we got. A pickaxe, useful. Iron war axe. I can trade that in. Two silver garnets. And 2 silvers. Okay, that's a bit of money. No magical item though. Standard potions of health. Ale, cooked carrots, elder cheese, farm bread, goat cheese, green apple, grilled, and some Nord mead. Explorer's Guide to Skyrim. All these crafting manuals which you can sell immediately and make a fat stack because I don't need them. I found that out last night when I was night before last when I was playing. Just, you don't need them in your inventory. I might actually keep them if they stack on a bookshelf. That would be kind of cool. I do like the look of that when the bookshelves get all full. In the grand scheme of things, there is unlimited money in this game, so. Well, let's start by doing what every adventurer does, jamming things into his mouth and see what happens. Ooh, purple. Ah, thistles. I have an urge to make fun of something called a Scot. More thistles. Lavender. Enter joke here once about goblin. Nightshade. Yes, let's eat some nightshade. That will build up my tolerance level for it. We go over here, and there should be a wood axe. Yoink. Convenient. There'll be a lot of crafting in this one. Whenever we do quests and the like, it will just be for the items that we can bring back to the museum. Everything will be based around the museum. And trying to play in character. Boo. There's like 50 mods to fix this, I guarantee it. And Bethesda could have just altered something for like 5 seconds. Ooh. Oh, that hurt. How the hell's... Why Oblivion? No wonder everyone is built like an ox out here.
If you've come to Solitude to join the Legion, speak to Rika. If not, just keep your nose clean while you're here, or you'll end up like Rogvir. You're just in time to say hello to Rogvir.
Who is this Rogvir?
He's the sorry bastard who's going to be executed. A gate guard who let Ulfric's Stormcloak escape the city after he killed the High King.
Oh, a traitor. Good, I love seeing traitors getting killed. Filthy, filthy creatures. Hello, madam. I like your hairy shoulders. Entertainment.
Position.
Or you need to go home. Go home and stay there until your
You
mother...
betrayed us!
Lock the city gate.
Traitor!
You should tell her
Get
that Echo
on
is
with
son
it!
that betrayed his high king. Best she know now, Ethel.
Put him in a body bag. That's something else.
Rogver, you helped Ulfric Stormcloak escape the city after he murdered High King Torri. By opening that gate for Ulfric, you betrayed the people of Solitude. He doesn't deserve to speak!
There was no murder. Ulfric
Liar.
challenged Torri. He beat the High King in fair combat. Such is our way. Such is the ancient custom of Skyrim and all Nords.
Bah! Who cares about Nords
Very well,
and Skyrim?
Rogver. Bow your head.
On this day, I go to Sovngarde.
Ah, yes. A proper jest. A jape, even. Now, where's the brothel? I demand one boy and girl of nubile strength. Drugs. Drugs. I'll supply this whole continent with drugs. By the power of industry, I make this city look ugly. It is the right thing to do. I like doing the sneering Imperial. Madam, I'm just going to steal from your father's maid. I like doing the sneering Imperial voice because it's actually really easy to do compared to some other voices. I could talk like this all day. I'm not going to, but I could. Although sometimes I just become a little too fey, maybe when I'm pretending to be drunk. Aha. Nothing is safe. What the hell did I just click on? Something just clicked up. I don't know what that was. Probably just a load order saying it was finished. The Dragonborn Gallery. Looks like, unfortunately, it's open to the public. I wouldn't have had that. But the Rubes do not need their money. I do. Come here. Come here, you beautiful thing. I'm gonna jam you into a jar and sell you to a man with a pony jar. I don't know what that's all about, but I feel like I'm doing you a disservice. Where's that old filthy knife here? There you are.
Good day, my friend. I'm glad you are
Yes.
here. I trust things fare well.
Whatever.
Excellent. Well, let me give you the 10 Septim tour.
It
then.
wasn't enough orcs
This
to
building
beat.
was once called Macnarian Hall and was built as a temple dedicated to Talos, the
Yeah,
patron god of
fascinating.
the Nords. After the White Gold concordate, however, the statue was moved and the temple closed. I came here a few years ago and was able to procure use of the space in the pursuit of establishing this museum. Of course, I have had the building vastly expanded over the last 2 years to accommodate what I hope will become one of the grandest collections of Tamrielic history in the world. This grand atrium I call the Hall of Heroes. It is where a variety of historical
Very
significant
underwhelming
relics can be
name.
displayed. and is quite a striking entrance to the museum, if I do say so myself. Off to the right is the reception hall and staff barracks, as well as the museum office where I do much of my work. To our left, you'll find the central hallway leading to all the other galleries of the museum, which also serves as the cultural arts exhibit. Here, I hope to display a variety of art, as well as elements representing the more primitive cultures here in Skyrim, such as the Falmer,
Thought you were going
the
woke.
Giants, and more. Down here on the lower level, you will find access to the East Exhibit Halls, which houses the Daedric Gallery, the Hall of Lost Empires, Hall of Oddities, and the Hall of Legends, which showcase a vast array of relics pertaining to the Daedra, Dwemer, Falmer, and ancient Nordic cultures, as well as a number of peculiar items that defy simple classification.
At the close end of this hall, the stairwell will lead to the Hall of Wonders and armories in the basement, and up to the second floor.
There you will find access to the Natural Science Gallery, as well as the Dragonborn Hall, where I will commission a variety of displays heralding any of your accomplishments. At the far end of the hallway,
I want to loot and
you'll
plunder.
find access to the Grand Library, and here on this floor, the door on the right also connects to the museum office. If you cannot find me in my office, you will almost certainly find me whiling away the hours in the library. Also, you should pick up a copy of the museum guide at the entrance of the museum. It will let you know the schedule of where I'm working, should you need to find me, and it will offer you an easier way of navigating the museum, as well as keep track of how many displays our museum has. Of course, it may take me a moment to update those accounts, so check the guide again if you feel the numbers seem off. I'm sure I'll eventually account for everything. Any items you find for display, you can either manually place them yourself, or utilize the prep station in my office. And I'll ensure everything you have gets properly displayed if it has an appropriate place. I'm likely to have a variety of tasks for you, but in between, I'm sure you could help me find a random relic or two I've been researching. Feel free to look around and come find me if you have any questions. I'm very excited about the prospects of where we are headed. Oh, yes, I almost forgot. I did promise you room and board after all, didn't I?
Free room and
Here
board.
is the key to
I
the
start
safe
hearing
house
shit about
upstairs.
rent and
You
utilities.
can get to the safe house through the stairwell in the staff barracks, or by going outside the museum through the door in the upper level of the atrium. The balcony out front connects to the safe house patio. And lastly, I have a few leads for you to get started as you get more familiarized with Skyrim. Also, this region can be very treacherous
Mud,
with all
cold,
the
and
frost
ugly people.
trolls,
What
saber
more do I
cats,
need
and
to
the
know?
like. The areas to the south may prove a better place to start. First is an artifact I heard is for sale by a general merchant in Helgen named Borgoth. He said he would hold the item for me for a while.
So it may be best to retrieve it first. The others, well, the notes will tell you all you need to know about them.
Almost.
Yes?
Oh yes, I have in fact been researching the location of an artifact of interest. If you have the time, you could investigate it. I'll mark the location on your map. Let me know if you uncover anything.
There's a handful of things scattered throughout here in the safe house you can take back to the museum for a quick reward. Also helps if you grab a set of this, activate this, this, Samantius's dagger. There's a few books here and there. The Barber. Of course, get free booze. Steal some rabbit, some pheasant. There's almost nothing in these items, chests.
Hey?
Lens of Truth. They've made some books just for this. The Barber, the Lens of Truth. There's one or two others. I remember at one point somebody put The Secret, the whole secret book, in it as a sort of Easter egg. And then they deleted it after I think they got in trouble for basically stealing IP. Hello, madam. You're comely for such an old crone.
What do you need? Are you kidding? Of course, I always have something ready.
That's a bit strange. Don't you
See
have
you
a
soon.
life? Would you have anything besides your work? I have numerous affairs and war crimes. Keeps a man occupied. Yeah. Ah, that beautiful Skyrim air. One day there will be foundries and factories polluting this sky glorious. Invent top hats, monocles. And I will have a cane with a skull that's also crusted with diamonds. I have to get my servants to do all this. Oh, that's right, I don't have any. They all betrayed me to the Emperor. Yeah. Gotta cook for myself, clean for myself. Wipe my own backside like a peasant. It's an outrage. Okay. Whoa. What the hell was that all about? Book. The Almighty Fate cards. Their version of Gwent, which you can't actually play, you just collect, so it's more like Magic or Pokemon. And of course, our beloved audiobooks.
Brief History of the Empire by Strana Carthage III, Imperial Historian. Description of events in the history of the Empire. Part 1. Before the rule of Tiber Septim, all Tamriel was in chaos. The poet Trachaisis calls that period of continuous unrest days and nights of blood and venom. The kings were a petty lot of grasping tyrants who fought Tiber's attempts to bring order to the land. But they were as disorganized as they were dissolute, and the strong hand of Septim brought peace forcibly to Tamriel. The year was Second Era 896. The following year, the Emperor declared the beginning of a new era. Thus began the Third Era, Year Aught. For 38 years, the Emperor Tiber reigned supreme. It was a lawful, pious, and glorious age, when justice was known to one and all, from serf to sovereign. On Tiber's death, it reigned for an entire fortnight, as if the land of Tamriel itself was weeping. The Emperor's grandson, Pelagius, came to the throne. Though his reign was short, he was as strong and resolute as his father had been, and Tamriel could have enjoyed a continuation of the Golden Age. Alas, an unknown enemy of the Septim family hired that accursed organization of cutthroats, the Dark Brotherhood, to kill the Emperor Pelagius I, as he knelt at prayer at the Temple of the One in the Imperial City. Pelagius I's reign lasted less than 3 years. Pelagius had no living children, so the crown imperial passed to his first cousin, the daughter of Tiber's brother, Agnora. Kintyra, former queen of Silvanar, assumed the throne as Kintyra I. Her reign was blessed with prosperity and good harvests, and she herself was an avid patroness of art, music, and dance.
Nerd.
Kintyra's son was crowned after her death, the first emperor of Tamriel to use the imperial name Uriel. Uriel I was the great lawmaker of the Septim dynasty, and a promoter of independent organizations and guilds. Under his kind but firm hand, the Fighters Guild and the Mages Guild increased in prominence throughout Tamriel. His son and successor, Uriel II, reigned for 18 years, from the death of Uriel I in 3rd Era 64 to Pelagius II's ascension in 3rd Era 82. Tragically, the rule of Uriel II was cursed with blights, plagues, and insurrections. The tenderness he inherited from his father did not serve Tamriel well, and little justice was done. Pelagius II inherited not only the throne from his father, but the debt from the latter's poor financial and judicial management. Pelagius dismissed all of the Elder Council and allowed only those willing to pay great sums to resume their seats. He encouraged similar acts amongst his vassals, the kings of Tamriel, and by the end of his 17-year reign, Tamriel had returned to prosperity. His critics, however, have suggested that any advisor possessed of wisdom but not of gold had been summarily ousted by Pelagius. This may have led to some of the troubles his son Antiochus faced when he in turn became emperor. Antiochus was certainly one of the more flamboyant members of the usually austere Septim family. He had numerous mistresses and nearly as many wives, and was renowned for the grandeur of his dress and his high good humor. Unfortunately, his reign was rife with civil war, surpassing even that of his grandfather Uriel II. The War of the Isle in 3rd Era 110, 12 years after Antiochus assumed the throne, nearly took the province of Somerset Isle away from Tamriel. The united alliance of the kings of Somerset and Antiochus only managed to defeat King Orgum of the island kingdom of Pyandonia due to a freak storm. Legend credits the Sigic Order of the Isle of Artaeum with the sorcery behind this tempest. The story of Kintyra II, heiress to her father Antiochus' throne, is certainly one of the saddest tales in imperial history. Her first cousin Uriel, son of Queen Potema of Solitude, accused Kintyra of being a bastard, alluding to the infamous decadence of the imperial city during her father's reign. When this accusation failed to stop her coronation, Uriel bought the support of several disgruntled kings of High Rock, Skyrim, and Morrowind, and with Queen Potema's assistance, he coordinated 3 attacks on the Septim Empire. The first attack occurred in the Iliac Bay region, which separates High Rock and Hammerfell. Kintyra's entourage was massacred, and the Empress was taken captive. For 2 years, Kintyra II languished in an imperial prison, believed to be somewhere in Glenpoint or Glenmoral, before she was slain in her cell in mysterious circumstances. The second attack was on a series of imperial garrisons along the coastal Morrowind Islands. The Empress's consort, Content Aronix, fell defending the forts. The third and final attack was a siege of the imperial city itself, occurring after the Elder Council had split up the army to attack western High Rock and eastern Morrowind. The weakened government had little defense against Uriel's determined aggression and capitulated after only a fortnight of resistance. Uriel took the throne that same evening and proclaimed himself Uriel III, Emperor of Tamriel. The year was 3rd Era 121. Thus began the War of the Red Diamond, described in Volume 2 of this series.
Brief History of the Empire, Book 2.
Brief History of the Empire by Strana Carthage III, Imperial Historian. A description of events in the history of the Empire. Part 2. Volume 1 of this series described in brief the lives of the first 8 emperors of the Septim dynasty, beginning with the glorious Tiber Septim and ending with his great-great-great-great-grandniece, Kintyra II. Kintyra's murder in Glenpoint while in captivity is considered by some to be the end of the pure strain of Septim blood in the imperial family. Certainly, it marks the end of something significant. Uriel III not only proclaimed himself Emperor of Tamriel, but also Uriel Septim III, taking the eminent surname as a title. In truth, his surname was Mantiarcho from his father's line. In time, Uriel III was deposed and his crimes reviled, but the tradition of taking the name Septim as a title for the Emperor of Tamriel did not die with it. For 6 years, the War of the Red Diamond, which takes its name from the Septim family's famous badge, tore the empire apart. The combatants were the 3 surviving children of Pelagius II, Potema, Sepphoris, and Magnus, and their various offspring.
That's everything.
Potema, of course, supported her son Uriel III, and had the combined support of all of Skyrim and northern Morrowind. With the efforts of Sepphoris and Magnus, however, the province of High Rock turned coast. The provinces of Hammerfell, Somerset Isle, Valenwood, Elsewhere, and Blackmarsh were divided in their loyalty, but most kings supported Sepphoris and Magnus. In 3rd Era 127, Uriel III was captured at the Battle of Ikkedeg in Hammerfell. En route to his trial in the imperial city, a mob overtook his prisoner's carriage and burned him alive within it. His captor and uncle continued on to the imperial city, and by common acclaim was proclaimed Sepphoris I, Emperor of Tamriel. Sepphoris' reign was marked by nothing but war. By all accounts, he was a kind and intelligent man, but what Tamriel needed was a great warrior, and he, fortunately, was that. It took an additional 10 years of constant warfare for him to defeat his sister Potema, the so-called Wolf Queen of Solitude, who died in the siege of her city-state in the year 137. Sepphoris survived his sister by only 3 years. He never had time during the warriors to marry, so it was his brother, the fourth child of Pelagius II, who assumed the throne. The Emperor Magnus was already elderly when he took up the imperial diadem, and the business of punishing the traitorous kings of the War of the Red Diamond drained much of his remaining strength. Legend accuses Magnus' son and heir Pelagius III of patricide, but that seems highly unlikely, for no other reason than that Pelagius was king of Solitude following the death of Potema and seldom visited the imperial city. Pelagius III, sometimes called Pelagius the Mad, was proclaimed emperor in the 145th year of the Third Era. Almost from the start, his eccentricities of behavior were notably clear. He embarrassed dignitaries, offended his vassal kings, and on one occasion marked the end of an imperial grand ball by attempting to hang himself. His long-suffering wife was finally awarded the regency of Tamriel, and Pelagius III was sent to a series of healing institutions and asylums until his death in Third Era 153 at the age of 34. The Empress Regent of Tamriel was proclaimed Empress Kateria I upon the death of her husband. Some who do not mark the end of the Seven bloodline with the death of Tiber II consider the ascendancy of this dark elf woman the true mark of its decline. Her defenders, on the other hand, assert that though Kateria was not descended from Tiber, the son she had with Pelagius was, so the imperial chain did continue. Despite racist assertions to the contrary, Kateria's 46-year reign was one of the most celebrated in Tamriel's history. Uncomfortable in the imperial city, Kateria traveled extensively throughout the empire, such as no emperor ever had since Tiber's day. She repaired much of the damage the previous emperor's broken alliance and bungled diplomacy created. The people of Tamriel came to love their empress far more than the nobility did. Kateria's death in a minor skirmish in Blackmarsh is a favorite subject of conspiracy-minded historians. The sage Montalius' discovery, for instance, of a disenfranchised branch of the Septim family and their involvement with the skirmish was a revelation indeed. When Cascinder assumed the throne upon the death of his mother, he was already middle-aged. Only half-elven, he aged like a Breton. In fact, he had left the rule of Wayrest to his half-brother Uriel due to poor health. Nevertheless, as the only true blood relation of Pelagius and thus Tiber, he was pressed into accepting the throne. To no one's surprise, the Emperor Cascinder's reign did not last long. In 2 years, he joined his predecessors in eternal slumber. Uriel Lariat, Cascinder's half-brother, and the child of Kateria I and her imperial consort Galaveri Lariat, after the death of Pelagius III, left the kingdom of Wayrest to reign as Uriel IV. Legally, Uriel IV was a septim. Cascinder had adopted him into the royal family when he had become king of Wayrest. Nevertheless,
Aw, I was reading that. Doesn't do well inside doors. There's one more book. Wait a minute. There's actually 2. Come on. Come on, puppet. You can do it. I believe in you. Yay! Now, let's go and... Wait a minute. No, you silly sausage! You are a silly sausage. God, sausages are tasty. There we are. Sausage!
Dragon Language, Myth No More, by Hela Thrice First, a lengthy thesis on the ancient language of the dragons. Dragon, the very word conjures nightmare images of shadowed skies, hideous roaring, and endless fire. Indeed, the dragons were terrifying
flying
beasts
backwards
that were
and
once as numerous as they were deadly.
through the ground.
But what most Nords don't realize is that the dragons were in fact not simple, mindless beasts. Indeed, they were a thriving, intelligent culture, one bent on the elimination or enslavement of any non-dragon civilization in the entire world. It therefore stands to reason that the dragons would require a way to communicate with one another, that they would need to speak. And through much research, scholars have determined that this is exactly what the dragons did. For the mighty roars of the beasts, even when those roars contained fire or ice or some other deadly magic, were actually much more. They were words. Words in an ancient, though decipherable tongue. Nonsense, you say? Sheer folly on the part of some overeager academics? I thought precisely the same thing. But then I started hearing rumors. The odd snippet of a conversation from some brave explorer or gold-coveting crypt diver. And always it was the same word repeated. Wall. So I listened more. I began to arrange the pieces of the puzzle and slowly unravel the mystery. Spread throughout Skyrim, in ancient dungeons, burial grounds, and other secluded places, there are walls. Black, ominous walls, on which is written a script so old, so unknown, none who had encountered it could even begin its translation. In my heart, I came to know the truth. This was proof of the ancient dragon language. For what else could it possibly be? It only made sense that these walls were constructed by the ancient Nords who had lived in the time of the dragons, and out of fear or respect had somehow learned and used the language of the ancient beasts. But at that point, all I had was my own gut instinct. What I needed was proof. Thus began the adventure of my life, one spanning 17 months and the deaths of 3 courageous guides and 2 sellsword protectors. But I chose not to dwell on those bloody details, but the end result was so glorious, it made any hardship worth it. In my travels, I found many of the ancient walls, and every suspicion was proven true. It did, in fact, appear as if the ancient Nords had copied the language of the dragons of old, for the characters of that language very much resembled claw marks or scratches. One can almost envision a majestic dragon using his great, sharp talons to carve the symbols into the stone itself, and a human witness, possibly even a thrall or a servant, learning, observing, so that he too could use the language for his own ends. For as I observed the walls I found, I noticed something peculiar about some of the words. It was as if they pulsed with a kind of power, an unknown energy that, if unlocked, might be harnessed by the reader. That sounds like nonsense, I know, but if you had stood by these walls, seen their blackness, felt their power, you would understand that of which I speak. Thankfully, although entranced, I was able to retain enough sense to actually transcribe the characters I saw, and, in so doing, I began to see patterns in the language, patterns that allowed me to decipher what I was reading. For example, I transcribed the following passage. Assigning these scratchings to actual Tamrielic language characters, I further translated what I saw into this.
Het, Nok, Ingnavar, Gaf, Kodev, Bodre, Yamoran, Ofrod, Dokrosis, Nus Sinan, Sif Dinak, Ach Dukan.
Which translates into the Tamrielic as follows. Here lies Ignavar Ghostbear, who did seek glory on the battlefield of sorrows, but instead found death and dishonor. Then, in another crypt, I encountered a wall with this transcription, which translates into
Het, Nok, Koprain, Do Iglif, Issos, Bogrind Ok Oblain, Niko, Morkai, Vukhain, Nus, Asthunax, Helvut, Duliv, Kraser.
Which ultimately translates into the Tamrielic as, Here lies the body of Iglif Iceblood, who met his end not in glorious combat, but at the cruel touch of the withering sickness. And there you see the pattern, the repeated words, Here lies, which could only mean one thing. Those walls mark actual ancient Nord burial grounds. You can imagine my nearly uncontainable excitement. It all started to make sense. The ancient Nords used the dragon language for these walls for very specific reasons. One of them was obviously to mark the grave of some important figure. But what else? Were they all graves? Or did they serve other purposes as well? I set off to find out, and was well rewarded for my efforts. Here is what I discovered. This passage, which translates into
Het ma torodis tafir scorgi lun senak wen clov gove nail renik hakun rock togate wa garot,
which in Tamrielic translates into this. Here fell the treacherous thief, Scourgy Leech Fingers, whose head was removed by the very axe he was attempting to steal. So here we see a wall that marks the spot where some significant ancient Nord died. This passage translates into this.
Kethsegal varukiv danik fahlil kir dogravun throd wo bovul kamer nor kinzon zakri do kruzik hokaran,
which in Tamrielic translates into this. This stone commemorates the doomed elf children of the autumn field who fled in terror from the sharp swords of the ancient enemy. This wall seems to commemorate some ancient, long-forgotten event in Tamrielic history. Whether that event occurred on or near the place where the wall was erected, we will probably never know. And finally, this passage, which translates into this.
Esa walain Kethsegal Brynahai Vakrut Thohild Fin Tur Wen Smolin Ag Frin Ol Sakoheim,
which in Tamrielic translates into this. Asa raised this stone for her sister, Thohild the Inferno, whose passion burned hot as the Red Forge. This wall, and I encountered quite a few like this, was obviously commissioned or built by a specific person to honor someone important to them. What was the significance of this location? Was it important to the person who died, or is it the actual location of that person's death? Again, those answers are probably lost to time and will never be known. And so you see, the ancient dragon language is indeed myth no more. It existed, but better yet, it still exists, and probably will until the end of time, thanks to the ancient Nords and their construction of these many word walls. But don't take my word for it, for the walls are there for the discovering in Skyrim's dangerous, secret places. They serve as a bridge between the realm of the ancient Nords and our own. The dragons may never return to our world, but now we can return to theirs. And someday,
Get off
we
your
may even unlock
damn
the strange,
lazy bones.
unknown power hidden
To go to
in
right
their
or wrong.
worlds.
Climb and back, and we'll be off.
Best sword in the game.
You ever been to Whiterun before? The Jarl's Palace is something to see. Dragon Search, they call it. Big old dragon skull hanging on the wall.
Wow, that's fascinating. Yes. How much extra for you not to talk to me for the entire journey?
By
Good.
Eastmere, it's true.
Follows
A jester,
instructions.
bunny suit and all, just north by the Loria's farm.
Pretty. I mean, something dismissive and condescending, yes.
We'll pay whatever it takes, but we must have more swords for the Imperial soldiers.
Well, I suppose I have to get this out of the way. I never thought I'd have to come here. Suck it up there, Biggest. Suck that Biggest right into your dicks. Hello, Father. Thank you for the sword. I just love the idea that Conan was actually his father, and he's just like a big disappointment to him. are you whining now? I'm uncertain. Well then. Let's go talk to this bag of bones about bags of bones.
Tell me, do you believe in mighty Arche, god of life and death?
The gods are established.
I'm glad to know that, because I need your help. You see, I've lost something precious. My amulet of Arche. It's the source of my divine powers and also a sacred badge of office. I misplaced it in the catacombs. I'd look for it, but I have been hearing noises down there. I fear the dead have become restless. Without that amulet, I'm powerless to confront them. Would you be willing to search for it? I'll just wait here and make sure nothing foul escapes the catacombs.
Well, I do go into tombs and what have you with incredible ease, so yes. Aha! Pathetic. Call yourself an undead? Woo! Missed. Yoink, yoink. Yoink. Ooh, a shiny. Ooh, a box. Weather ward circlet. Frost and fire resistance increased by 45. Yes, please. Now I'm gonna hand that over to the museum, but then I will go to I'll go and make a copy, put that in the museum, and keep those for myself. Blah 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 blah. Some gibberish about some MacGuffin they want me to steal. Free money. Aha. There that is. He truly couldn't take on a bunch of skeletons. Hello. Wee. Stab. Yoink. Everything goes into the museum, and I get a cut on everything.
The Death Blow of Abernanet by Anonymous, with notes by Geocrates Varus. The Death of Dagoth Thras, with explains by the sage Geocrates Varus. Broken battlements and wrecked walls, where worship of the horror once embraced, the bites of 50 winters, frost and wind, have cracked and pitted the unholy gates, and brought down the cruel, obscene spire. All is dust, all is nothing more than dust. The blood has dried, and screams have echoed out, framed by hills in the wildest forlorn place of Morrowind sits the barren bones of Abernanet. When thrice-blessed Rangedil first saw Abernanet, it burnished silver bright with power and permanence. A dreadful place, with dreadful men to guard it, with fever-glassed eyes, and strength through the horror. Rangedil saw the foe's numbers was far greater than the few ordinators and buoyant armigers he led. Watching from the hills above, the field and castle of death, while it stood, it damned the souls of the people of Morrowind, accursed, iniquitous Castle Abernanet. The alarm was sounded, calling the holy warriors to battle, to answer villainy shield with justice's spear, to steel themselves to fight at the front and be brave. Rangedil too grasped his shield and thinned Ebon's spear. And the clamor of battle began with a resounding crash, to shake the clouds down from the sky. The shield wall was smashed and blood staunched, the ground of the field, a battle like no other of Morrowind, to destroy the evil of Abernanet. The maniacal horde were skilled at arms, for certes, but the three holy fists of Mother, Lord, and Wizard pushed the monster's army back in charge after charge. Rangedil saw from above, urging the army to defend. Dagoth Thras himself in his pernicious tower spire, and knew that only when the heart of evil was caught would the land e'er be truly safe. He pledged then by the temple and the holy tribunal of Morrowind to take the Tower of Abernana. In a violent push, the tower base was pierced, but all efforts to fell the spire came to naught, as if all the strength of the horror held that one tower. The stairwell up was steep and so tight, the two warriors could not ascend it side by side. So single file, the army clambered up and up to take the tower room and end the reign of one of the cruelest petty tyrants in the annals of Morrowind, Dagoth Thras of Abernana. They awaited a victory cry from the first to scale the tower, but silence only returned, and then the blood. First only a rivulet, and then a scarlet course, poured down the deep stairwell with the cry from above. Dagoth Thras is besting our army one by one. Rangadil called back his army, every ordinator and buoyant armiger, and he himself ascended the stairs, passing the bloody remains of the best warriors of Morrowind to the tower room of Abernanat. Like a raven of death on its eyrie was Dagoth Thras, holding bloody shield and bloody blade at the tower room door. Every thrust of Rangadil's spear was blocked with ease. Every slash of Rangadil's blade was deflected away. Every blow of Rangadil's mace was met by the shield. Every quick arrow shot could find no purchase. For the monster's greatest power was in his dread blessing, that no weapon from no warrior found in all of Morrowind could pass the shield of Abernathy. As hour passed hour, Rangadil came to understand how his greatest warriors met their end with Dagoth Thras, where he could exhaust them by blocking their attacks, and then, thus weakened, they were simply cut down. The villain was patient, skilled with the shield, and Rangadil felt even his own mighty arms grow numb, while Dagoth Thras anticipated and blocked each cut, and Rangadil feared that without the blessing of the divine tree of Morrowind, he died in the Tower of Abernana. But he still poured down blows as he yelled, "Foe, I am Rangadil, a prince of the true temple, and I've fought in many a battle, and many a warrior has tried to stop my blade and has failed. Very few can anticipate which blow I'm planning, and fewer, knowing that, know how to arrest the design, or have the strength to absorb all of my strikes. There is no greater master of shield blocking in all of Morrowind than here in the castle Abernathy. My foe, Dark Lord Dagoth Thras, before you slay me, I beg you, tell me how you know how to block." Wickedly proud, Dagoth Thras heard Rangadil's plea, and decided that before he gutted the temple champion, he would deign to give him some knowledge for the afterlife. How his instinct and reflexes worked, and as he started to explain, he realized that he did not know how he did it, and watched, puzzled, as Rangadil delivered what the tales of Morrowind call the death blow of Abernathy. Geocrates Varnus explains. The horror refers to the Daja Prince Mehrunes Dagon. 50 Winters suggests that the epic was written 50 years after the siege of Abernanat, which took place in 3rd Era 150. Thrice blessed Rangadil is Rangadil Katil, born 2nd Era 803, died 3rd Era 195. He was the commander of the Temple Ordinators, and thrice blessed by being blessed by the Tribunal of Gods. Mother, Lord, and Wizard refers to the tribunal of Almalexia, Vivec, and Sothasil. Dagoth Thras was a powerful Daedral worshipper of unknown origin who declared himself the heir of the Sixth House, though there is little evidence he descended from the vanished family.
Uh-huh. Why do I have to press X to down that from? Alright, let's be off then. First order of business. There is a tomb we must raid. I should raid some sort of tomb, if you will. And I will hard and fast raid that tomb. After I take a breather and have a nice drink and a bit of bread and cheese. Yeah, the damn fools who think that they can oppose me, not knowing my power, my lineage. Potent. Ooh. An elven sword. This early in the game. Intriguing. Some watery talk. Handing out swords is not a viable basis on which to form a government. Ah, come to me. Delicious. You are doomed. All of you. Ow. Not what a doomed person would do. Ow. Gotta pretend that one didn't happen. It was just a momentary lapse caused by, something. Even the game's like, bollocks. Well, now people know my superpower. I have the power of foresight, knowing what to do and what not to do. That's why I am arrogant, for I know I will win. I see myself ruling this entire world. And there's a very cool kitty cat that will be by my side. Inigo, my beloved. My friend. The hell was that? So I didn't get my sword. Old foe, I see you have followed me from Cyrodiil and Morrowind. Ow. Sword. Yoink. None! Hello. Goodbye. Sell the shit out of that. Now, I must be wiser than just going straight ahead. For starters, save. Actually, I need to pee real quick. I'm getting hungry too. Alright, we're gonna clear this out and then I'm gonna go and just quickly whip up some lunch, which will consist of PB, flatbread. No. Haha, you missed me. I saw that one, that's scary. Ow. I will loot the dead when the danger is past.
Tell you what, start running. Split your belly like an old woman.
Right. side he has gone. Come on, sailor Ben.
Heavy Armor Forging by Sven Two Hammers, a guide to creating heavy armor. Heavy armor must be designed to take a lot of punishment. It will receive direct blows from all sorts of weapons while protecting the wearer. Leather strips are used to make the straps and bindings in all armor. Iron and steel are easy to work. Just heat them up and pound them into shape. The heat of the forge is not that critical. Avoid filing off any of the metal. Always try to conserve the metal and work it back into shape. The iron armor requires a large number of iron ingots. A smith might need a couple of dozen to complete a full set of iron armor. Steel armor primarily uses steel ingots, but some iron is used as well. Dwarven armor is made from dwarven metal. The secret of this material was lost when the dwarves disappeared millennia ago. Now it can only be found as scrap in the ruins of their abandoned cities and fortresses. Orcish armor requires large amounts of orichalcum, melded with a bit of iron. Heat should be used sparingly, lest it become brittle. The orcs are masters of this technique, but it can be learned by any smith with patience and skill. Steel plate mail is made by adding steel to molten corundum. The alloy is stronger than either material by itself. Corundum is a finicky material requiring the heat from the forge to be steady and not very much. Ebony can only be worked when heated. It will develop small cracks that eventually shatter the material if hammered cold. Unlike most other armors, ebony will not alloy with iron. It must be used pure. I can only tell you tales of how to make Daedric armor. I have never seen it myself, nor do I know anyone that has. The stories say that it should always be worked on at night, ideally under a new or full moon and never during an eclipse. A red harvest moon is best. Ebony is the principal material, but at the right moment, a Daedra heart must be thrown into the fire.
Alternatively, you just need the bits and then you just go through the animation. Boop. I got 2 tiny little oranges and 2 blueberry yogurt drinks. I normally wouldn't have 2, but I had a surplus. And I don't want to keep going at the flatbread, because I want to keep my bread input low. I already had some today. Well. Give me a second. Alright, back to it. By that I mean light armor forging. Nice bit of forging.
Light Armor Forging by Revis Sarvani, a book detailing various aspects of forging the various types of light armor. There are 2 classes of light armor, metallic and non-metallic. Elven and glass are metallic light armor. You may be surprised to think that glass can be thought of as metallic, but appearances are deceiving. What we call glass is nothing like the window panes you see in houses. The greenish material is far stronger and has a much higher melting point. Non-metallic armors are hide, studded, leather, and scaled. For these armors, the forger is as much tailor as blacksmith. All use large pieces of leather stitched together with leather strips. Studded armor also needs iron ingots, from which you will make the studs and metal rings that make it more effective than simple hide. Scaled armor uses steel instead of iron, but the steel is infused with corundum to make the metal inserts stronger. For centuries, the secret of making elven armor was a closely guarded secret in Somerset Isle. Then, the betrayal of Ulval Laren brought it to the rest of Tamriel. Ulval was a dark elf slave, working the bellows for Nulion, master smith of the Isle from the 5th through the 7th century of the Second Era. When Ulval escaped, he could think of no greater punishment to mete out to his cruel master than to reveal all his secrets to the world. Thus, we came to know that moonstone is the key ingredient in elven armor, and that salt water must be used to quench the hot metal. For gilded elven armor, you must also meld in quicksilver. It melts at a much lower heat than moonstone, making it tricky to work the two metals together. The trickiest of all is glass. Hammer blows struck against the grain run the risk of shattering the armor. Its principal ingredient is malachite, although it also requires moonstone to give it the right strength. Notes on the Lunar Forge. The Lunar Forge. I've managed to get the forge itself up and running, but again, I find nothing special about its workings. These weapons were clearly forged, yet the secret of their enchantment remains elusive. All I've been able to discern so far is some connection between the weapon's power and the appearance of the moons. The lunar weapons. The weapons themselves are crafted of what seems to be normal metal, but while the moons are high above, they gain an additional ability. It seems that once the sun has gone down, the lunar weapons take on a vampire-like ability, transferring a small amount of health from the victim to the user.
At least that one was short.
Beggar Prince. The story of Weedle and his gifts from the Daedric Lord Namira. We look down upon the beggars of the Empire.
No.
These lost souls are the poor and wretched of the land. And every city has its beggars. Most are so poor that they have only the clothes on their backs. They eat the scraps the rest of us throw out. We toss them a coin so that we don't have to think too long about their plight. Imagine my surprise when I heard the tale of the Beggar Prince. I could not imagine what a prince of beggars would be. But here is the tale that I heard. It takes place in the First Age, when gods walk like men and Daedra stalk the wilderness with impunity. It is a time before they were all confined to oblivion. There was once a man named Weedle, or maybe it was a woman. The story goes to great lengths to avoid declaring Weedle's gender. Weedle was the 13th child of a king in Valenwood. As such, Weedle was in no position to take the throne or even inherit much property or wealth. Weedle had left the palace to find independent fortune and glory. After many days of endless forest roads and tiny villages, Weedle came upon 3 men surrounding a beggar. The beggar was swaddled in rags from head to toe, and no portion of the vagabond's body was visible. The men were intent on slaying him. With a cry of rage and indignation, Weedle charged the men with sword drawn. Being simple townsfolk, armed only with pitchforks and scythes, they immediately fled from the armored figure with the shining sword. Many thanks for saving me, wheezed the beggar from beneath the heap of foul rags. Weedle could barely stand the stench. What is your name, wretch? Weedle asked. I am Namira. Unlike the townsfolk, Weedle was well learned. The name meant nothing to them, but to Weedle it was an opportunity. You are the Daedric Lord, Weedle exclaimed. Why did you allow those men to harass you? You could have slain them all with a whisper. I am pleased you recognize me, Namira rasped. I am frequently reviled by townsfolk. It pleases me to be recognized for my attribute, if not for my name. Weedle knew that Namira was the Daedric Lord of all things gross and repulsive. Diseases such as leprosy and gangrene were her domain, and where others might have seen danger, Weedle saw opportunity. Oh, great Namira, let me apprentice myself to you. I ask only that you grant me powers to make my fortune and forge a name for myself that will live through the ages. Nay, I make my way alone in the world. I have no need for an apprentice. Namira shambled off down the road. Weedle would not be put off. With a bound, Weedle was at Namira's heel, pressing the case for an apprenticeship.
Put on display in a museum.
33 days, 33 nights, Weedle kept up the debate. Namira said nothing, but Weedle's voice was ceaseless. Finally, on the 33rd day, Weedle was too hoarse to talk. Namira looked back on the suddenly silent figure. Weedle knelt in the mud at her feet, open hands raised in supplication. "It would seem that you have completed your apprenticeship to me after all," Namira declared. "I shall grant your request." And Weedle was overjoyed. "I grant you the power of disease. You may choose to be afflicted with any disease you choose, changing them at will, so long as it has visible symptoms. However, you must always bear at least one. I grant you the power of pity. You may evoke pity in anyone that sees you. Finally, I grant you the power of disregard. You may cause others to disregard your presence." Weedle was aghast. These were not boons from which a fortune could be made. They were curses, each awful in its own right, but together they were unthinkable. "How am I to make my fortune and forge a name for myself with these terrible gifts?" "As you begged at my feet for 33 days and 33 nights, so shall you now beg for your fortune in the cities of men. Your name will become legendary among the beggars of Tamriel. The story of Weedle, the Prince of Beggars, shall be handed down throughout the generations." And it was as Namira predicted. Weedle was an irresistible beggar. None could see the wretch without desperately wanting to toss a coin at the huddled form. However, Weedle also discovered that the power of disregard gave great access to the secrets of the realms. People unknowingly said important things where Weedle could hear them, and Weedle grew to know the comings and goings of every citizen in the city. To this day, it is said that if you really want to know something, go ask the beggars. They have eyes and ears throughout the cities, and they know all the little secrets of the daily lives of their citizens. A Dance in Fire, Chapter 4, by Wageen Yarth. Chapter 4 of A Clerk's Adventures in Valen. 18 Bosmeri and one Cyrodiilic former senior clerk for an Imperial Building Commission trudged through the jungle westward from the Xylo River to the ancient village of Mendisi. For Decimus Scotti, the jungle was hostile, unfamiliar ground. The enormous vermiculated trees filled the bright morning with darkness and resembled nothing so much as grasping claws bent on impeding their progress. Even the fronds of the low plants quivered with malevolent energy. What was worse, he was not alone in his anxiety. His fellow travelers, the natives who had survived the Khajiiti attacks on the villages of Grainos and Athe, wore faces of undisguised fear. There was something sentient in the jungle. Not merely the mad, but benevolent indigenous spirits. In his peripheral vision, Scotti could see the shadows of the Khajiiti following the refugees, leaping from tree to tree. When he turned to face them, the lithe forms vanished into the gloom as if they had never been there. But he knew he had seen them, and the Bosmeri saw them too, quickened their pace. After 18 hours, bitten raw by insects, scratched by 1,000 thorns, they emerged into a valley clearing. It was night, but a row of blazing torches greeted them, illuminating the leather-wrought tents and jumbled stones of the hamlet of Vindisi. At the end of the valley, the torches marked a sacred site, a gnarled bower of trees pressed closer together to form a temple. Wordlessly, the Bosmeri walked the torch arcade toward the trees. Scotti followed them. When they reached the solid mass of living wood, with only one gaping portal, Scotti could see a dim blue light glowing within. A low, sonorous moan from 100 voices echoed within. The Bosmeri maiden he had been following held out her hand, stopping him. "You do not understand, but no outsider, not even a friend, may enter," she said. "This is a holy place." Scotti nodded, and watched the refugees march into the temple, heads bowed. Their voices joined with the ones within. When the last wood elf had gone inside, Scotti turned his attention back to the village. There must be food to be had somewhere. A tendril of smoke and a faint whiff of roasting venison beyond the torchlight led him. They were 5 Cyrodiils, 2 Bretons, and a Nord. The group gathered around a campfire of glowing white stones, pulling steaming strips of meat from the cadaver of a great stag. At Scotti's approach, they rose up, all but the Nord, who was distracted by his hunk of animal flesh. "Good evening. Sorry to interrupt, but I was wondering if I might have a little something to eat. I'm afraid I'm rather hungry, after walking all day with some refugees from Grainos and Athe." They bade him to sit down and eat, and introduce themselves. "So the war's back on, it seems," said Scotti amiably. "Best thing for these effete do-nothings," replied the Nord in between bites. I've never seen such a lazy culture. Now they've got the Khajiit striking them on land, and the High Elves at sea. If there's any province that deserves a little distress, it's damnable Valenwood. I don't see how they're so offensive to you, laughed one of the Bretons. They're congenital thieves, even worse than the Khajiit, because they are so blessed meek in their aggression. The Nords spat out a gob of fat, which sizzled on the hot stones of the fire. They spread their forests into territory that doesn't belong to them, slowly infiltrating their neighbors, and they're puzzled when elsewhere shoves back at them. They're all villains of the worst order. And what are you doing here? Asked Scotty. I'm a diplomat from the court of Jaena, muttered the Nord, returning to his food. What about you? What are you doing here? Asked one of the Cyrodiils. I work for Lord Atreus's building commission in the Imperial City, said Scotty. One of my former colleagues suggested that I come down to Valenwood. He said the war was over, and I could contract a great deal of business for my firm rebuilding what was lost. One disaster after another, and I've lost all my money. I'm in the middle of a rekindling war, and I cannot find my former colleague. Your former colleague, murmured another of the Cyrodiils, who had introduced himself. He wasn't by any chance named Laertes Eurus, was he? You know him? He lured me down to Valenwood in nearly the exact same circumstances, smiled Regulus grimly. I worked for your employer's competitor, Lord Vanixman, where Laertes Eurus also formerly worked. He wrote to me, asking that I represent an Imperial Building Commission and contracts of post-war construction. I had just been released from my employment, and I thought that if I brought some new business, I could have my job back. Eurus and I met in Athens, and he said he was going to arrange a very lucrative meeting in the Sylvanar. Scotty was stunned. Where is he now? I'm no theologian, so I couldn't say, Regulus shrugged. He's dead. When the Khajiit attacked Athens, they began by torching the harbor where Eurus was readying his boat. Or, I should say, my boat, since it was purchased with the gold I brought. By the time we were even aware of what was happening enough to flee, everything by the water was ash. The Khajiit may be animals, but they know how to arrange an attack. I think they followed us through the jungle to Vindisi, said Scotty nervously. There was definitely a group of something jumping along the treetops. Probably one of the monkey folk, snorted the Nord. Nothing to be concerned about. When we first came to Vindisi, and the Bosmiri all entered that tree, they were furious, whispering something about unleashing an ancient terror on their enemies. The Breton shivered, remembering. They've been there ever since, for over a day and a half now. If you want something to be afraid of, that's the direction to look. The other Breton, who was a representative of the Daggerfall Mages Guild, was staring off into the darkness while his fellow provincial spoke. Maybe. There's something in the jungle too, right on the edge of the village, looking in.
You could?
More refugees, maybe? Asked Scotty, trying to keep the alarm out of his voice. Not unless they're traveling through the trees now, whispered the wizard. The Nord and one of the Cyrodiils grabbed a long tarp of wet leather and pulled it across the fire, instantly extinguishing it without so much as a sizzle. Now Scotty could see the intruders, their elliptical yellow eyes, long, cruel blades catching the torchlight. He froze with fear, praying that he too was not so visible to them. He felt something bump against his back, gasped. Regulus's voice hissed from up above. Be quiet, for mare's sake. Climb up here. Scotty grabbed hold of the knotted double vine that hung down from a tall tree at the edge of the dead campfire. He scrambled up it as quickly as he could, holding his breath lest any grunt of exertion escape him. At the top of the vine, high above the village, was an abandoned nest from some great bird in a trident-shaped branch. As soon as Scotty had pulled himself into the soft, fragrant straw, Regulus pulled up the vine. No one else was there, and when Scotty looked down, he could see no one below. No one, that is, except the Khajiit, slowly moving toward the glow of the temple tree. Thank you, whispered Scotty, deeply touched that a competitor had helped him. He turned away from the village and saw that the tree's upper branches brushed against the mossy rock walls that surrounded the valley below. How are you at climbing? You're mad, said Regulus under his breath. We should stay here until they leave. If they burn Vindisi like they did Athens and Granos, we'll be dead, sure as if we were on the ground. Scotty began the slow, careful climb up the tree, testing each branch. Can you see what they're doing? I can't really tell. Regulus stared down into the gloom. They're at the front of the temple. I think they also have, it looks like long ropes, trailing off behind them, off into the pass. Scotty crawled onto the strongest branch that pointed towards the wet, rocky face of the cliff. It was not a far jump at all. So close, in fact, that he could smell the moisture and feel the coolness of the stone. But it was a jump nevertheless, and in his history as a clerk, he had never before left from a tree 100 feet off the ground to a sheer rock. He pictured in his mind's eye the shadows that had pursued him through the jungle from the heights above. how their legs coiled to spring, how their arms snapped forward in an elegant fluid motion to grasp. He leapt. His hands grappled for rock, but long, thick cords of moss were more accessible. He held hard, but when he tried to plant his feet forward, they slipped up skyward. For a few seconds, he found himself upside down before he managed to pull himself into a more conventional position. There was a narrow outcropping jutting out of the cliff where he could stand and finally exhale. Regulus, Regulus, Regulus. Scotty did not dare to call out. In a minute, there was a shaking of branches, and Lord Bannock's man emerged. First his satchel, then his head, then the rest of him. Scotty started to whisper something, but Regulus shook his head violently and pointed downward. One of the Khajiiti was at the base of the tree, peering at the remains of the campfire. Regulus awkwardly tried to balance himself on the branch, but as strong as it was exceedingly difficult with only one free hand. Scotty cupped his palms and then pointed at the satchel. It seemed to pain Regulus to let it out of his grasp, but he relented and tossed it to Scotty. There was a small, almost invisible hole in the bag. When Scotty caught it, a single gold coin dropped out. It rang as it bounced against the rock wall on the descent. A high, soft sound that seemed like the loudest alarm Scotty had ever heard. Then, many things...
Hey, the audio didn't follow me.
Gave a loud ring. The other Khajiitis followed in the chorus, as the cat below crouched down and then sprung up into the lower branches. Regulus saw it below him, climbing with impossible dexterity, and panicked. Even before he jumped, Scotty could tell that he was going to fall. With a cry, Regulus the clerk plunged to the ground, breaking his neck on impact. A flash of white fire erupted from every crevice of the temple, and the moan of the Basmari prayer changed into something terrible, otherworldly. The climbing Cathay rat stopped and stared. "Here go," he gasped. "Wild hunt." It was as if a crack in reality had opened. A flood of horrific beasts, tentacled toads, insects of armor and spine, gelatinous serpents, vaporous beings with the face of gods, all poured forth from the great hollow tree, blind with fury. They tore the Khajiiti in front of the temple to pieces. All the other cats fled for the jungle, but as they did so, they began pulling on the ropes they carried. In a few seconds' time, the entire village of Mendisi was boiling with the lunatic apparitions of the wild hunt. Over the babbling, barking, howling horde, Scotty heard the Cyrodiils in hiding cry out as they were devoured. The Nord too was found and eaten, and both friends. The wizard had turned himself invisible, but the swarm did not rely on their sight. The tree the Cathay rat was in began to sway and rock from the impossible violence beneath it. Scotty looked at the Khajiiti's fear-struck eyes and held out one of the cords of moss. The cat's face showed its pitiful gratitude as it leapt for the vine. It didn't have time to entirely replace that expression when Scotty pulled back the cord and watched it fall. The hunt consumed it to the bone before it struck the ground. Scotty's own jump up to the next outcropping of rock was immeasurably more successful. From there, he pulled himself to the top of the cliff and was able to look down into the chaos that had been the village of Mendisi. The hunt's mass had grown and began to spill out through the pass in the valley, pursuing the fleeing Khajiiti. It was then that the madness truly began. In the moon's light, from Scotty's vantage, he could see where the Khajiiti had attached their ropes. With a thunderous boom, an avalanche of boulders poured over the pass. When the dust cleared, he saw that the valley had been sealed. The wild hunt had nowhere to turn but on itself. Scotty turned his head, unable to bear to look at the cannibalistic orgy. The night jungle stood before him, a web of wood. He slung Regulus' satchel over his shoulder and entered.
That one went on for fucking ages. Gave me a chance to fish, I suppose. Now, can we please get back to the character that matters the most? Oh, good, a bucket. That's what I need. Being a sarcastic cold. I've actually got to go back to the museum and drop off all this shit. Yoink. Whee. keep the fishing rod. That's really about it. I've got a spare one. I'll undo it, but I don't. Eye patch. Okay, let's see. Let's see how we're doing. Baron Zaya.
Biography of Queen Baron Zaya, Volume 1, by Stern Gamboge, Imperial Scribe. A factual biography of Queen Baron Zaya, Volume 1.
Except for the
Late
fourth
in the
one,
second
which is
era,
sexy.
a girl child, Baron Zaya, was
And
born
has
to the
furry
rulers of
porn
the
in
Kingdom of Mournhold, in what is now the Imperial Province of Morrowind. She was reared in all the luxury and security befitting a royal dark elven child until she reached 5 years of age. At that time, His Excellency Tiber Septim I, the first Emperor of Tamriel, demanded that the decadent rulers of Morrowind yield to him and institute imperial reforms. Trusting to their vaunted magic, the Dark Elves impudently refused until Tiber Septim's army was on the borders. An armistice was hastily signed by the now eager Dunmer, but not before there were several battles, one of which laid waste to Mournhold, now called Almalexia. Little Princess Baron Zaya and her nurse were found amongst the wreckage. The Imperial General Symmachus, himself a Dark Elf, suggested to Tiber Septim that the child might someday be valuable, and she was therefore placed with a loyal supporter who had recently retired from the Imperial Army. Sven Advinson had been granted the title of Count upon his retirement. His fiefdom, Darkmoor, was a small town in central Skyrim. Count Sven and his wife reared the princess as their own daughter, seeing to it that she was educated appropriately, and more importantly, that the imperial virtues of obedience, discretion, loyalty, and piety were instilled in the child. In short, she was made fit to take her place as a member of the new ruling class of Morrowind. The girl Baron Zaya grew in beauty, grace, and intelligence. She was sweet-tempered, a joy to her adoptive parents and their 5 young sons, who loved her as their elder sister. Other than her appearance, she differed from young girls of her class only in that she had a strong empathy for the woods and fields, and was wont to escape her household duties to wander there at times. Baron Zaya was happy and content until her 16th year, when a wicked orphan stable boy, whom she had befriended out of pity, told her he had overheard a conspiracy between her guardian Count Sven and a Red Guard visitor to sell her as a concubine in Rehad, as no Nord or Breton would marry her on account of her black skin, and no Dark Elf would have her because of her foreign upbringing. "Whatever shall I do?" the poor girl said, weeping and trembling, for she had been brought up in innocence and trust, and it never occurred to her that her friend the stable boy would lie to her. The wicked boy, who was called Straw, said that she must run away if she valued her virtue, but that he would come with her as her protector. Sorrowfully, Baron Zaya agreed to this plan, and that very night she disguised herself as a boy, and the pair escaped to the nearby city of Whiterun. After a few days there, they managed to get jobs as guards for a disreputable merchant caravan. The caravan was heading east by side roads in a mendacious attempt to elude the lawful tolls charged on the Imperial highways. Thus, the pair eluded pursuit until they reached the city of Riften, where they ceased their travels for a time. They felt safe in Riften, close as it was to the Morrowind border, so that Dark Elves were enough of a common sight.
That's where they ended it? Alright. I have something, I know that. Frostbite, more crap. No? Okay. There? No. 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 Damn it. Okay, sweet boy. Sweet boy. An Orient doll. A dragonborn mug. Display case. Kind of stupid that they put the gift shop not by the front door. You have to leave through the gift shop. That's how it works. What can I put on this? Nothing, because I want to sell the rest. Wait a minute. Adventurer's backpack. Do I have two of them? Do I have more than two? This is all the DLC that you buy. So I have Adventurer's backpack. I saw it. There. God. This means I can sell everything here. So I'll go upstairs and alcohol. Beautiful, majestic alcohol. You won't betray me. I've got to relight all the fires now, don't I? How dare wood not continue to burn forever? Cooked food. No. 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 Salmon jerky. Surprisingly good. Fish, apple, mead. See? It's all getting nice and stowed. Would miscellaneous items include things like vinegar, maybe? Teapot. Teapot you can't use. Boo. What's the point of that? Apple juice. Canis root. Good for the stomach, yes. a woman wants to get rid of a certain problem after being less than delicate. How do you activate these again? There's like a switch or a wire or something. Full chain. Beautiful. Is it moving? Yes! It's a sky. It's the actual skybox. It's moving. That's cool. That's weird. Now, heavy armor and the like should work. That should be doing fine. Yeah. Time to steal. I don't have the cleaning mod because it conflicts with a few things. I don't know how to fix it right. You can get mods that will like increase your charisma and shit. And if you're covered in filth, you'll get like a debuff to your charisma. Plus, if they're different like soaps, they'll affect you in different ways. For constitutional, turn the bath off. Embarrassing if that was the case. Time to start the day off right. A cup of tea. Some bread and cheese. Mushy rooms. Delicious. And who says you can't forge while almost completely naked? Not I. I think I already have those souls, so it's alright. Grind. Workbench. Anything I can tan. Yes, a few things. Woo! There's a lot going on there. I mean, if all these pelts aren't equating me to a display, then who cares? I'll just get rid of the pelt. Magic. No, heavy armor. Now. Let's real quick check to see if my armor will get upgraded now. Yay! Less snug around. Round the old waist now. Yeah. Now let's see. Workbench. Oh, where's his eye patch? I'd be scaring the local children. There. Now I look much more trustworthy. Bait. What's that? Hunting bow of dismay. Oh, I can disenchant that. Health regen 10% faster, but I don't know. Good. Intrigue, Magica, Herbalist. That would be a lot of money. If I got that, that would definitely bump me up. But sneaking 25% better. Some pouches. Alright, let's see what's nice. Intrigue, intrigue, and intrigue. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm really starting to look the part now. Need a decent cape, but you know, they got a tie. I can hand these over, but they're not enchanted, are they? Oh, should get these while I remember them. Hide. You know what else? I like the leather scout armor as your sneaking outfit, but I won't need it because I'll have the relic armor. Instead, I'll need heavy armor and light armor. Heavy armor for heavying and light armor for lighting. Kind of self-explanatory in that regard. Oh, I should have done that. Anyway, I think I've got everything here. No harm with that. Boop. Now we will go back downstairs and drop off the items. By the way, I was 375. Now, what? Now I'm 10. My carrying weight is now 10,000, is it? Is it 10,000? Something tells me there was a problem going on there. $10,000. Did I do that? No, I didn't use the console command. So, why is my carrying capacity now maxed out? You know, I suppose it's not the end of the world, but fuck it. It just shows my level of superiority, yes. Thought you Nords had good strong backs. This is how you do it.
I think it may be time to change.
Where? When I get done, I think it's time. Starting. Aim.
Alright. 52 displays. I guess we can just leave.
Fascinating. I'm glad you're here.
I'll take your word at it, brother.
I got word of a unique relic and was able to procure it from the cellar. Use it if you wish, or place it on display.
I don't think he was meant to tag me. I think he was meant to have me something.
Very simple. Have a look around and find a spot to display it. In addition to displaying...
Wait, did he give it to me? He did. Skull Crusher. First bonus weapon. Right. Belongs in a museum. Ah,
Till we meet again.
I will make money off it. Thus becoming a god. That last one might be on it, yeah. It depends on how you want to interpret the law. Museum. Museum library next. Wow. The gallery library. There's the three biographies and Berenzaya. But if I'm right, I have a book on me that. Yeah, the Beggar Prince, shouldn't he be taking that?
My, it's starting to get a bit dusty in here.
After reading about something for so many years, it's really quite rewarding to finally have it here on display to admire.
No, I guess not. I guess I put that in.
Now, where did I leave that book?
Book return. No point me carrying around. What? Doesn't make a difference now, does it? Because I've got unlimited
It's in my room.
carrying capacity. It kind of takes the oomph out of it. Well, we can research anyway. Book project. Let's see about getting a new book, and then I'll use the points. It'll tell me where to go. Locate the hanging gardens in around Chitin and Flynn. Okay. Oh yeah, if you have any treasure maps, I'll put them there. Paintings? No. Guess we go back down to do Bleak Falls Barrow next. I gotta go back all the way, dealing with that merchant man. On his little cart. But a pallet couldn't be so much to ask.
Your fruit are looking a little less ripe today.
You should see me when you get old.
Ooh! Money transfer unit. Transfer items for money.
Some might call this junk. Me, I call them treasures.
I call them indifferent. Shit. I didn't buy that. Want to keep. Can't use. I'll put them up on this in my place. Clothes, fur, lace, gold, silver, studded. Magic fortification? No. Ale, apple juice. Keep. Again, why is light armor forging and heavy armor forging not stowed away? I don't get it. Hell yeah. Not this bucket. See, where's the card of fortune? Oh, alright, I know what happened there. My bad. And I have to line them up. Also, no generic plate seems to make a difference. Alright. Can't buy too much. But I do need to clothes I already have, but no fishing hat. Nordic ring? No. Nope.
Come back to bits and pieces anytime.
I won't. Fine. Let's get going. I've been doing this for 2 hours. Nice. Should end at least after hour 3, because I have to do more of my exercises and, well, diminishing returns, right? All future Skyrims will be over on Twitch, giving Twitch a little bit more lease of life.
Need a ride? Where do you want to go?
Blah.
Climb and back, and we'll be off. Get up there.
Map. Okay. Research project. Where? Alright. That's useful. Now we shall go to Bleak Falls Barrow. Doing this in the middle of the night seems like the smartest idea, yes. Don't know why, because I myself am left-handed, but I don't like him holding his sword. There, that just seems more natural. Oh, I suppose before I go back to Bleak Falls Barrow, I should go and give praise to the gods. Yeah. Such a hassle. Oh, mighty Akatashu, Akatashu is mighty. Don't let me die, I suppose. Yes, this seems safe doing in the middle of the night. Could be spanking a fat ass right now. Snorting dried skooma. Oh, I have to be an adventurer. All that stuff requires money. Moo. Moo, I say. It's kind of fun doing this in the dark. Going off the cobbles. Right. that comes up here. So we're going the right way. Ow! Well, that answers that question. Filthy cur. There we are. And look, a tower. I wonder if the Lawbringer mod installed. Howdy. What was that? I wasn't listening. Missed me.
That's close enough.
No, it's not. It's actually quite the opposite. I'm going to kill you now. Take all your things.
Why he's here, we won't leave here alive.
Why are you talking to yourself? All the things I'm going to steal. There we are. Look, now it's back down to carry weight normal. 400. It's still a massive increase. 425. So that's pretty good. Pumpkin? These people were barbarians. They have the finest sex toy around. Someone's done it. Now, let's see without using console commands can I get up here. It's all rich. Oh, that's... on. Fucking bastards. Me up to you. Trigger. So I can fast travel. Yeah. I don't even need to. Ah, there we are. Shrine to the Magna-Gi. Servants of Magnus they left behind the stars and constellations felt ethereal. Slowly recharge enchanted weapons, create enchanted items, explore new locations, prey on high elves or those skilled in alteration or most. No. But now that I have it, it's triggered back at the museum. Which will net me another item towards the overall. Snowberry. Okay, berries that are snow. Speed discovered from the marsh fruit. Okay. I like speed. Also like going fast too. health regen. Yes, please. There's a chance I could die here. Not because they're hard per se, it's just... Not... Roast alive. Good. Not even worth looting. Speaking of loot, I got the house, right? Let's be all sneaky. Ow.
What if Arvid doesn't come back? I want my share from that job.
Just shut it. Keep an eye out. Is someone there?
Trouble?
Over here!
Right, now I'll do smithing.
There's the wings. Go ahead, try and fight back.
Already have those. Painting. Useful. Yay. Ooh. Potat. His potats are now my potats. I love the fox. Nordrakars. Oh yes, I'm sure they were put there by love. I'm going to turn you into fat stacks of regular money. Yes. No, 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 I won't let some crappy trappy steal
Should
mine.
have come here. No more?
Should've thought about that before you would technically class as an enemy. But you didn't. Your pirate sword. LARPing motherfucker. Yoink. Wow. Snake, snake, whale. Thief. The second part of the
Thief by Revan, the second chapter of the adventures of Eslaf Errol. If the reader has not yet had the pleasure of reading the first volume in the series on the life of Eslaf Errol, entitled Beggar, you should close this book immediately, for I shan't recap. I will tell you this much, gentle reader. When we last saw Eslaf, he was a boy, an orphan, a failed beggar, running through the wild winter woods of Skyrim, away from his home of Erelgarn. He continued running, stopping here and there, for many more years, until he was a young man. Eslaf discovered that among the ways of getting food, asking for it was the most troublesome. Far easier was finding it in the wilderness, or taking it from unguarded market stalls. The only thing worse than begging to get food was begging for the opportunity to work for the money to buy it. That seemed needlessly complicated. No, as far as Eslaf was concerned, he was best off being a scavenger, a beggar, and a thief. He committed his first act of thievery shortly after leaving Erelgarn, while in the southern woods of Tamburkar, in the rugged land near Mount Jensen, just east of the village of Orvel. Eslaf was starving, having not eaten anything for about a scrawny raw squirrel in 4 days. He smelled meat cooking, and then found the smoke. A band of minstrel bards was making camp. He watched them from the bushes as they cooked, joked, flirted, and sang. He could have asked them for some food, but so many others had refused him before. Instead, he rushed out, grabbed a piece of meat from the fire, and wincing from the burns, scrambled up the nearest tree to devour it while the bards stood under him and laughed. "What is your next move, thief?" giggled a fair, red-headed woman who was covered with tattoos. "How do you intend to disappear without us catching and punishing you?" As the hunger subsided, Eslaf realized she was right. The only way to get out of the tree without falling in their midst was to take the branch down to where it hung over a creek. It was a drop off a cliff about 50 feet. That seemed like the wisest strategy, so Eslaf began crawling in that direction. "You do know how to fall, boy," called out a young Khajiit, but a few years older than Eslaf, thin but muscular, graceful in his slightest movements. "If you don't, you should just climb down here and take what's coming to you. It's idiotic to break your neck when we just give you some bruises and send you on your way." "Of course I know how to fall," Eslaf called back, but he didn't. He just thought the trick of falling was to have nothing underneath you and let nature take its course. But 50 feet up, when you're looking down, is enough to give anyone pause. "I'm sorry to doubt your abilities, Master Thief," said the Khajiit, grinning. "Obviously, you know how to fall feet first, with your body straight but loose, to avoid cracking like an egg. It seems you are destined to escape us." Eslaf wisely followed the Khajiit's hints and leapt into the river, falling without much grace, but without hurting himself. In the years that followed, he had to make several more drops from even greater heights, usually after a theft, and sometimes without water beneath him, to improve the basic technique. When he arrived in the western town of Yalenheim on the morning of his 21st birthday, it didn't take him long to find out who was the richest person and most deserving of being rich. An impregnable palace in a park near the center of town was owned by a mysterious young man named Suibud. Eslaf wasted no time in finding the palace and watching it. A fortified palace he had come to learn was like a person, with quirks and habits beneath its hard shell. It was not an old place. Evidently, whatever money this Suibud had come into was fairly recent. It was regularly patrolled by guards, implying that the rich man was fearful of being burgled, with good reason. The most distinctive feature of the palace was its tower, rising 100 feet above the stone walls, doubtless giving the occupant a good defensive view. Eslaf guessed that if Suibud was as paranoid as he guessed it to be, the tower would also provide a view of the palace storehouse. The rich man would want to keep an eye on his fortune. That meant that the loot couldn't be directly beneath the tower, but somewhere in the courtyard within the walls. The light in the tower shone all night long, so Eslaf boldly decided the best time to burgle was by the light of day, when Suibud must sleep. That would be the time the guards would least expect defeat to pounce. And so, when the new sun was shining over the palace, Eslaf quickly scaled the wall near the front gate and waited, hidden in the crenellations. The interior courtyard was plain and desolate, with few places to hide, but he saw that there were 2 wells. One the guards used from time to time to draw up water and slake their thirsts, but Eslaf noticed that guards would pass by the other well, never using it. He waited until the guards were distracted, just for a second, by the arrival of a merchant in a wagon bearing goods from the palace. While they were searching his wagon, Eslav leapt, elegantly, feet first, from the wall into the well. It was not a particularly soft landing, for, as Eslav had guessed, the well was not full of water. Still, he knew how to roll after a fall, and he didn't hurt himself. In the dank subterranean storehouse, he stuffed his pockets with gold, and was about to go to the door, which he assumed would lead to the tower, when he noticed a gem the size of an apple, worth more than all the gold that was left. Eslav found room for it down his back. The door did indeed lead into the tower, and Eslav followed its curling stairwell up, walking quietly but quickly. At the top, he found the master of the palace's private quarters, ornate and cold, with invaluable artwork and decorative swords and shields on the walls. Eslav assumed the snoring lump under the sheets was Suebunt, but he didn't investigate too closely. He crept to the windows and looked out. It was going to be a difficult fall, for certs. He needed to jump from the tower, past the walls, and hit the tree on the other side. The tree branches were perfect, but they would break his fall, and there was a pile of hay he had left under the tree to prevent further injury. Eslav was about to leap when the occupant of the room woke up with a start, yelling, "My gem!" Eslav stared at him for a second, wide-eyed. They looked alike, not surprising, since they were brothers. Eslav Errol's story is continued in the book Warrior.
Now, our first bit of mining. I have the mod to make unlimited mining. To that end, let's see what fun we can have. What do we get? I'm going to go and put on a cup of tea and take out these orange peels, which, while smelling lovely, and I think almost I should burn them to get a nice sort of... I don't think that would work. Still. Fossilized bone fragment. All this will be good for back in the museum. The museum is all. See what bounty we got. Oh damn, had a feeling that would happen. I don't want to have to about face if I can help it. of amber. Some amethyst. Wow, okay. That's a good amount of coin. I even brought the commemorative mug with me. $40 ore? Yeah, that'll definitely do it. Jesus, I got a lot of stuff I could do without. Well, Shazbot. We have potion of strength. Fortitude? No. Suppose we can't do without a pumpkin, even though part of me has died inside. Well, we can move now. Alright. This is gonna fucking suck. We gotta go all the way outside. And then... Oh, right. Then... all the way outside. Hell's boiled. I just gotta get off my high horse and do it. Potion of stamina. I want to keep any potions I have until when I cross the higher tier Draugr near the end of this. I got a lot of things I can trade in the museum, but I should also stow away a lot of stuff too. Doors. Making a mess I gotta clean up. Do I look like the help? I am the lord of this land. Will be once the emperor sees the value in it. Should be a good few items here. Skyrim. Gallery.
I've been looking for you.
Oh, have
Got
you?
something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only. Let's see here. Looks like that's it. Got to go.
How? How did you find me? Who cares? Whoop. I come bringing bounty. Money. 26 7? Yeah, well, yes. Still, it's the start of something good. Things are going up, biggest dickus. Then I got a bits and pieces to sell off my stuff. Actually, hold on. Doesn't Orin take care of that for you? Where is he?
What's next?
Where is he? You see, because I saw the Magna Gee. $78. Slightly more than I was expecting.
Not a bad place to pass some time. You have quite the collection here. I've been so impressed, in fact, that I've sent along a contribution or two to the curator. Not at all, friend. Glad to help out. It's really amazing what you two are doing here after all.
Glad you appreciate. I've killed many of... What? Alright. Save a cat. Well. Orker. Mud crab. Frostbite. Really? Well, no spider silk. Right. Chicken. Horse. Cow. Oop, dog. Yay. Friend. Here is a dog. Have you ever seen a dog before? There's only one type of dog in the whole game. It's an Irish Wolfhound. Kind of. It's a little shaggier than an Irish Wolfhound. Look, a fossilized rock. Okay. Now, what are we left with in terms of a bunch of capes? I'll go and I'll stow the capes away. You know what? I think this is somewhat fairly new. I almost never remembered using this. Ale. Nothing. Investigate the ritual site. Don't even bother. It's just called the Anonymous Letter.
Arvel's Journal by Arvel the Swift. A journal describing how Arvel came into possession of the Golden Claw and a hint of its true purpose. My fingers are trembling. The Golden Claw is finally in my hands, and with it, the power of the ancient Nordic heroes. That fool Lucan Valerius had no idea that his favorite store decoration was actually the key to Bleak Falls Barrow. Now, I just need to get to the Hall of Stories and unlock the door. The legend says there is a test that the Nords put in place to keep the unworthy away, but that when you have the Golden Claw, the solution is in the palm of your hands.
The palm of your hands. I'm my own grandpa. Aren't we all? No. Oh. Well, my family tree's a little fucked up then, isn't it? Okay, well, we got plenty of cooked meat anyway. Oh yeah. Vinegar was not the place to put this. It's raw! Okay, canine meat, skeever. I need the one, I'll sell the rest. And the rest goes here. Charred, cooked. The icebox and this is raw. Cook. Where did they display the cooked stuff? Can I cannot, because I have no flour or salt or anything. Now I have a bunch of iron ingots. So let's iron ingot it up. Yeah. This would be 110% pure iron ore, because nothing's lost in the exchange. It's kind of weird. Impossible. I should have checked to see what iron weapons were needed. I definitely need that. must have already had more than one, so I can sell some of those items. Climbing reptile. Did I seriously get 2 climbing reptile fossils back to back? I don't think so. So I'm probably going to have to put some of these things in manually. Alright. Let's put this to the test. I can go and pick up the books anywhere. Go down to the... wait. Some lessons of Vivek, Tales, Ancient Tales of Dwemer, City Guides, King Edward, Fool's Ebony, Search Journals. Well, at least you, yeah, see, at least you can do this. Bookcase. I can throw the books that don't actually fit anywhere there, I think. So, the ones that came with the game. And the Truth, the Barber. Tolera, Madness. Or S. Okay, so what am I looking for? Book I'm thinking of is H. Heavy armor repair. Heavy armor forging. Okay, that's fair. I thought there was something going on there on my end. The light armor forging. Back here. L. Light armor repair. Yeah, but it's light armor forging. What Beggar Prince? Is it the Beggar Prince or just Beggar Prince? That wouldn't count. Wait, does this mean it's going by the Dewey Decimal System? Cool. How to, spells, 1 to 9, A to G. Oh, this is where you put those books that don't have any, that can't just go into the shelves. Okay. Beggar Prince. Also D as well for Death Blow. What? barber as well, rather than the barber. I'm guessing I mean my own grandpa, right? Alright. Let's go to the Museum of Natural History section and put in the see about if I got all the fossils.
Of course. All too happy to.
So wonderful to see how much people enjoy this place.
Oh! Oh my god, this is so useful.
Wonderful. I'll get right to work having this displayed.
You must wait for the sorting to complete. Yeah. Brilliant. That is just gonna save so much hassle. Oh, now I gotta go back to the fucking books.
Fascinating.
Alright, fossils first. You've never been able to fully equip the fossils. Now, let's see what this is called. This is called Fossilized Bird Print. Climbing. That's frozen shit. This would make all those young Earth people just have a hissy fit, even though it's all fictitious. There! You lack the required item. If I drop it and pick it up. Yeah, there's something wonky going on here. Can't say I approve of that. You know, I need to go to the armory. Armor. Actually, no. No, actually I don't. Because I can put the items off my room here. It's a bunch of dolls. Madras, Latoria, there it is. Yay! Now I toss in the fate card, which I didn't put in earlier because I, frankly, checked the wrong area. Now, where would the novelty mug go? Here? I could always put it there. Some people play this game to fight monsters and fight monsters. I have a different approach. Which is do whatever the fuck I want. It's a liquor cabinet, so why is there beer there? I'll be getting drunk on the 9th. This time I gotta be a good boy and after drinking not go on a bender for 3 days. For not just for my health reason, but just for my wallet. Very happy with myself if I... So there's an ale. Nord mead doesn't count apparently. Anyway, I'll be on rum and coke. And I will be drinking rum and coke. The crappiest rum and coke in comparison to Landon, who will be drinking like a bottle of incredibly well distilled, the finest of material. Probably handed to him by the guy who runs the fucking distillery. Here I am going to get like a knockoff version of Captain Morgan's, and not even Coca-Cola, just like store-bought in a warm glass. I know who the fuck I am. Alright, so I was right. There is something a bit iffy going on with the items. I didn't even put the damn... Shit. Alright. Let's go down to, back to Bleak Crawler's Barrow. We'll just pretend I got onto a damn cart. Not prayed in a while. Okay. Oh my dear Kitash, you glitch my mod order. Sorry I'm gonna have to kill all your children. Maybe not Pathanax, but still the rest. Right, let's get into it. You can never escape Bleak Falls, Barrow, you see. You'll always find yourself back here, like a memory you wish you hadn't thought of. A girl's smile turned sadness. Cloud over a perfectly good day. A slave that just doesn't know how to pour wine. You've done it for the past 10 years. I don't care that your bones are turning to ash. You want to retire? I'm thirsty, damn it. Stop spilling that stuff. It costs more than you do. Ah, yes. I almost feel like I need a VTuber rig for this character. Have him bounce up and down every time I talk. That's more of a Ransona. Ow. What have you undead bastards reset this? Was it you? Oh, they're all dead. I mean, they were technically dead before I showed up here. Before I was born, they were already dead. I don't hold it against them, worshipping giant fire-breathing lizards. Might have done the same in their shoes. But I've killed many people I do not hate. But it hurts me more. That in particular hurts me more. But I get my destruction magic a little more. Yeah, that's cool. Ooh, Grave Tar. Biggest Dickus is too powerful for Grave Tar. What can I say? Wait, that's not my name, is it? No one ever told me that. Don't call me BD. And I'll own it. Ooh. Carlinian. A new hand doesn't touch the beacon. Is that an actual thing? Because so far, all the ones I've seen have been more or less real. Except for the fictitious ones. Because, well, yeah, they're fictitious. Yep. Reddish-orange variety of Kaldolgachi. Oh, they're made out of thousands of bits of sand. Cool. It's very worthless, but it's pretty. It's worth of itself. Ow. I'll get way more money from it from the museum over time. Do I have any poisons? Not quite sure how an undead creature can be poisoned, but alright. Maybe it's like an acid. Yep. Also completely worthless. Ow. No. Ow. Yay. Never loot. Come on up. Pathetic. Weak. Underwhelming. Yeah. Thank you. Waited centuries just to miss your shot. No wonder you all lost. Yes. Ah. If only I knew something about a bear. A moth. An owl. Nothing. Typical. Ah, this, however. Let us steal. Can make something with it. Hawk it off to rubes. It's a wall. If it's full of words. Probably not. But I am hearing something. Well, what's going on? Okay. Yeah. Whew. That was a rush. I wonder what that was all about. Anyway. Whoop. Time to kill. Alright, that was new. Ow. Woo! You don't have pockets. I do. Like if Liefeld made a dungeon delver. Wait, was it Liefeld or was it... Who was the one who made Cable? That guy. Dragonstone. Aha. A random piece of rock. Let's go around the side. And an urge to check every nook and cranny, including the waterfall. See what I mean? Don't go. Ooh. Chasing waterfall. old crone in the woods. She must be a witch. Look at her sitting there, all witch-like. I'm not going to let you steal my soul. Yoink, 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 yoink. Ooh. So much things to steal. I'll be here for days. My larder will be as fat as my wallet. Guama. Tinder. Activate.
Ancient Tales of the Dwemer, Part 5, The Song of the Alchemists, by Mirabar Saul, Book 5 of an incomplete series of fictional stories about the Dwemer. When King Merineon's alchemist had to leave his station, after a laboratory experiment that yielded detonation, the word went out that the king did want a new savant to mix his potions and brews, but he declared he would only choose a fellow who knew the tricks and the tools. The king refused to hire on more fools. After much deliberation, discussions, and debates, the king picked two well-learned candidates, Ianthipius Minthurk and Emphatic Fair, an ambitious pair, vied to prove which one was the best. Said the king, "There will be a test." They went to a large chamber with herbs, gems, tomes, pots, measuring cups, all under high crystalline domes. "Make me a tonic that will make me invisible," laughed the king in a tone some would call risible. So Emphatic Fair and Ianthipius Minthurk began to work, mincing herbs, mashing metal, refining strange oils, cautiously setting their cauldrons to burbling boils, each on his own, sending mixing bowls mixing, sometimes peeking to see what the other was fixing. After they had worked for nearly 3/4 an hour, both Ianthipius Minthurk and Emphatic Fair winked at the other, certain he had won. Said King Merineon, "Now you must taste the potions you've wrought. Take a spoon and sample it right from your pot." Minthurk vanished as his lips touched the brew, but Fair tasted his and remained apparent in view. "You think you mix silver, blue diamonds, and yellow grass?" The king laughed. "Look up, Fair, up to the ceiling glass. The light falling makes the ingredients you choose quite different hues." "What do you get?" asked the floating voice bold, "of a potion of red diamonds, blue grass, and gold?" "By Dwemer God," said Fair, his face in a wince, "I've made a potion to fortify my own intelligence." Publisher's note. His poetry is so clearly in the style of Dwarfen that it really does not need any comment. Note the simple rhyming scheme of AA, BB, CC. The sing-song but purposefully clumsy meter, and the recurring jokes of the obviously absurd names Emphatic Fair and Ianthipius Minthurk. The final joke, the stupid alchemist invents a potion to make himself smarter by pure accident, would have appealed to the anti-intellectualism of audiences in the interregnum period, but would certainly be rejected by the Dwemer. Note that even Mirabar Saul refuses to name any Dwemer gods. The Dwemer religion, if it can even be called that, is one of the most complex and difficult puzzles of their culture. Over the millennia, the song became a popular tavern song in Hyrule, before eventually disappearing from everything but scholarly books, much like the Dwemer themselves.
Make some money, make cash money, making money. More when you always needed empty bottles, if I was right. Never. Hey. Let us move. Now we go. Ow. Anything good?
Ain't this a surprise?
Is it? Who said that? Who wishes to die? It's you! Clockwork City, motherfucker. Starting an event. Level loot, motherfucker. Not for me. Not for thee. Whoop. Whoop. Ow. Yeah. That is what we're doing. Amulet of the Thief, Amulet of the Mage, and Amulet of the Warrior. Accept sign, and the most important one, accept sign. I am Captain Planet, or something, I don't know. Well, let's go to Elgin. Get the last of our items. I'm sure nothing crazy will happen there. Can't wait to try that famous juniper berry mead. Maybe when I'm done, I'll walk up to the border and think about all the places I used to visit. Before the bad times. It's only up for me now, and well, can't say I was expecting that. Good people of Helgen. Shit. But a leather. Where is it? Adventurer's Journal. Investigate the Cave mentioned journal or warn the residents of Riverwood about the dragon attack. Or I could, hear me out, go into this heavily defended Imperial keep and steal everything. Yes. Look, the holds of Skyrim that don't make any sense. Because it should be. Including Fall Creek in it. You're for the museum, aren't we all? Aren't we all at the end of the day? Destined. On. A dead node, always a good sign. Yes, this place seems safe. Oh dear. Did you go and die? Ooh. Oh. Maybe there's something I can throw? Must be something here. Yeah, this bread will be what I need. I should have done this, a bit smarter. A little smarter, you know? Rebel armor and northern boots. There's only one, well, there's actually two items down here I want. I want his hood, which counts as light armor, which is pretty useful. Now, almost looks like it fits him, especially once you toss in the cape, which is no, yeah. All right. Take. Imperial bracers. And let's go in here. Well, let's do this first. Damn, I am literally at the... spell book, tra-la-la-la-la. Yeah, getting a little drunk, that should solve it. Get all the XP from doing this. All right. go right back to the museum. Drop off the items and hopefully they don't glitch and cause problems and make me feel sad. I don't want to feel sad. Then I think we'll call it. Because I'm getting hungry for real food. I like real food. If you count rice, chicken, and a bunch of spices thrown in real food, which, yeah, it kind of is. Throw in some beans, too. Rice, chicken, and beans. Taco beans. As in, they've got like some weird taco sauce and
Wow,
shit.
it couldn't possibly be that old, could it?
It probably is. Hold on. First things first. I'm gonna take the torturer's thing off. The thing I won't get rid of is the... While that goes on, once that's done, I'll hopefully have something to craft here. Let's see, fossil storage. Oh, okay. Maybe you're meant to put them there? Come on, carry weight. I can't wait to carry that weight no more. That's how you can tell it's doing its job. On 300. I'll take it. And we can get an ornate Nordic cup. Hooray! That goes here. That's an urn. Cup. Yay! And he's got something for me.
Ah, I'm glad I caught you. I have something for you.
I trust things fare well. I found an odd weapon from a Dunmer trader, and it turned out to be something rather impressive.
The Thornblade.
Here, have a look, and place it on display if you like.
Nice.
Yes? Of course.
Garnet, iron helm, iron plates, steel, steel.
Wonderful. I'll get right to work having this displayed.
You must wait for the sword operation to complete. Alright. So what I'll do is I'll go down and... I'll go down to the armory here. Go to the steel. That's Imperial. Let's hide. Or leather. Where is steel? don't have a Nordic bow. I should keep my eyes peeled for that. Here it is. Looks like it's there. There's a steel notchy. Notchai. That's a shield rat. No. You have to equip it. There we are. Okay, I guess we'll wrap it up here. I want to cook. I want to do a little bit more working out. Still have another... How many more of them? 20 more. Still have to do another 20 more arm curls. I'm doing 50 a day now. Now my next job is to make them all 50 at once. That'll take a while. Alright. Well, Skyrim's back in our lives, much like an abusive ex, for a short time. Let's make the most out of it. As for your boy, next thing I will be doing, unfortunately, will not be Lego. But I'll be glad of those LEDs when we got them. Now, it says Simpsons Sunday tomorrow. Oh yeah, wait, no, hold on. I got the schedule. I put the schedule up on the Discord. Join the Discord, by the way. No idea what I'm doing tomorrow. Might even take it off. Might not stream. But Sunday is Simpsons Sunday. So, if you see me stream tomorrow, awesome. If you don't, you don't. Oh, we are looking for somebody who has beaten Final Fantasy VI and wants to guide me through UFF. If you are on a channel, or if you have one, or if you just don't mind being on mic or cam, that's all good. At the end of the day, actually, all I need is your mic. That's all I need. Bye. Bye.